The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed don't necessarily reflect those of NCI-FM.
Welcome to Speaking Up with Jessica Dumas. I'm a certified life coach that specializes in business, leadership, and all things speaking and confidence mindset. Let's chat. Good afternoon, NCI friends and fam. I'm so honored to be here in the studio this afternoon. It's always fun coming into the studio. And I hope that you're having a really great day. Guess what? I have an in-person workshop coming up, and guess what it's called? Speaking Up Speaker Training. I don't want you to struggle with last-minute presentations or struggling to engage with your audience. I want to teach you practical tips for confident speaking, master body language, because I've been talking about that, and captivating your audience. Because I also have to listen to those presentations too. And if I'm in the room and if you're presenting, people are coming up to me and asking me what I think. And either way, it's going to be really fun. It's happening May 23rd, 30th, and June 6th. You'll find more on my website at jessicadumas.ca. And this work is really important to me. I have so much fun with it. I called up a really good friend of mine recently so that I could get some feedback on the workshop, and she's here with me today. You will probably know her already. Her name is Barbara Bose, former founder and president of Legacy Bose Group. And so she's semi-retired now. You can find her at Bose Leadership. You might know her as Bose Knows. She's a human resource leader, award-winning author, and my former boss. Welcome, Barb.
And a good friend, don't forget that.
A good friend, that's how I opened it. How are you?
I'm really well and excited to be here, and even more excited to see such a successful radio show that you have developed, because it's a fantastic way to communicate with people all across Manitoba and wherever else. I was just telling Dave here that some of the communities where I come from in Northwest Ontario pick up the radio up in the Island Lake area. So you've got a broad audience. Congratulations.
Yay. Thank you. So honored to have you here today. And so I called you up recently. I said, hey, I'm having this workshop. And I really appreciate all of the great conversation that we had. It was really fun. So I wanted to start by asking you, in your experience, how important would you say are speaking skills?
Speaking skills are really, really, really important to get your message across, to develop relationships. If you have a conflict, being able to express what the problem is in such a way that you invite solutions instead of annoying other people. For looking for new work, even for communicating with your children. In fact, there are books written on how to communicate with your children, communicating with your spouse. So it's so important part of life. And you know what? It's something that's often neglected. We learn a little bit about communicating in school, learning the English language or whatever, and how to read and write. But we're not really taught how to speak. To speak that people actually understand. So it's so important, and I'm glad that you talk about that a lot, and that you're even training people in that area. Yeah,
I'm so excited, and it was fun sharing with you some of the tools that I'll share at the workshop, and we'll get to that in a second. One of the other things that I wanted to ask you was, does public speaking come natural to you, or in your career? Is that something that you had to work on, or how did you get to where you got?
Well, that's actually a very good question. I came from an education background, first as a primary school teacher and later as an education resource consultant. So my journey to being a public speaker was having to learn how to not be a teacher. In fact, a couple of times when I'm speaking or was doing a workshop for adult educators per se, someone said, "Did you used to be a teacher?" And I thought, oh my God, because you don't want that teacher, I know best and I know, everything right. Kind of an attitude. So I really had to focus on learning not to teach, but to actually involve others through my communication. So it was a journey for me, even though I can speak. And even though, and I'm not sure you know this, that when I was in elementary school and when I was in the workplace, most of my evaluation, in fact, every single report card from kindergarten to grade 12, it said I talked too much. Oh my goodness. But obviously I probably wasn't very focused, and today I'm focused.
Right. Oh, that's a really great story. And I love how you brought up that in your experience of communicating with people, you had to sort of unlearn how to be a teacher, which you're still teaching. But one of the things that I have done in my career is I have a lot of facilitation training. And so I don't have any speaker training. Like, I didn't take speaker training. It was something that I decided I want to get good at this, because I had so many opportunities to be on stage. And when I would come down, I would be really hard on myself and cringe because of, oh my goodness, what did I say or what did I do? And so I like that you said, like, unlearning some of those old tools that were sort of taught as like instructors or teachers, but to make it more about communicating with people in the room.
Yeah, but there's also a difference between speaking and speaking professionally, and in that you have to really take a look at, how do I introduce my presentation and my speech? How do I really engage the audience? So, there's lots that you can learn, and there's different steps. What's the introduction? How are you going to attract your listeners? How are you going to close it off? How are you going to leave the message? In fact, what is the message that you actually want to demonstrate? And you should find the message first and then build around it. Mm-hmm. So you need to really specialize and look at, what do you need to do if you want to go into professional speaking or professional delivery or even facilitation. It's a branch of a skill that you might already have, but you still have a lot to learn.
Oh, yay, that's so great. Everything that you just talked about made me think of exactly what we're going to be talking about in the speaker training. So the Speaking Up speaker training, as I said, is going to happen May 23rd, 30th, and June 6th. And one of the tools that I'm really excited to help people with is to help them. It's really niching. It's a practice that I use with my clients. I call it theme building. And you can use this for niching your topics, writing talks. You can use it to basically take all of the ideas and summarize them. And so what the tool is, I use Post-it notes and I write out all of the different ideas. If I'm preparing for a talk, for example, write out all of the different ideas that I want to talk about, and then I start to form themes and I pick the top 3, and this is how I choose what my talk is going to be about. And so that's the theme builder. I may have talked about it on the show before already, but it's such an important tool for people to niche, organize, and really prioritize your message like you're talking about. And so I shared that with you the other day when we were talking about building the training, and you came back with some really good tools that you've been using as well.
Yeah, thanks for that. And when we were chatting, the other week, what you're sharing with your clients is giving them a strategy for organizing their thoughts. It's very helpful that when you maybe don't know a lot about the topic that you want to talk about and you need to do a little bit of research. The method that I use is called mind mapping. And I don't want to say I'm lazy. It's just that I create a picture on a piece of paper. And it's really valuable for when you already know a subject. So that all you need is a trigger word. So what I use is mind mapping. And what I'm going to do is share it with your listeners how to do it right now. So I hope all the listeners have got a piece of paper. If not, come on, just grab a pen and grab a piece of paper and here's how you do it. And I mean, you can look it up on the internet if you want, but I'm going to share with you. So in the middle of a blank piece of page, write a circle big enough to write what it is that you want to talk about. This is the focus of your presentation. So let's just say you want to talk about your children. Let's say you've got 2 kids. So in your circle in the middle, you just put kids. You don't need to say anything else because that's what you already know that. Out of that circle in the middle, draw a straight line, straight up to the right perhaps. And then let's put son number 1 on that top line. So that's the first thing you're going to talk about. Well, then what are you going to say about that son? And so you develop 3 lines towards the bottom of the page, or the side of the page rather. What is it that you want to say about your son? So let's just say son number 1, what's his job? So just write job. And the second point on the second line, maybe talk about your grandkids. So you've got 3 grandkids. And then on the top sub-line that you've got, things like, what does he love to do? Why are you so proud of him? But all you're doing is putting a word or two. These are trigger words that when you're speaking, you're looking at this map, and oh yeah, here it is, son number 1, job. You know what you're going to say. And you can say it every time you are doing a little presentation. You're going to say it different, but it's okay. Well, son number 2. So take another line on different part of the page, big, broad line, and that's just put son number 2. And then underneath son number 2, put 3 different lines. And what do you want to talk about? You can talk about the same thing, about their job, about the grandchildren, and about what they like to do. So I've got one son that loves the outdoor life and hunting and fishing, and another son, he likes that too, but only if it's in a pretty fancy cottage. So you're giving yourself focus words that you can just glance at and you know what you want to say. And you don't have to say it the same every single time. It's a really easy, quick method. One piece of paper. If you fill up this piece of paper, and I'm looking at 8 by 9, 8 by 7, if you fill that up, you can talk for an hour. So that has worked for me once I learned that skill set. And again, I had to learn it. I didn't know it.
Right.
And it works for me really, really well. Instead of writing out a story in, his name is Joe and he does this, etc., I just need a trigger word that's going to help me remember what it is that I wanted to say. Powerful, absolutely powerful. As I said, you can take this one page and talk for an hour.
It's so helpful. I love it. And throughout all of the confident speaking classes that I've done so far, people have always asked me for something more visual, like a visual type of structure. Because I have like a talk structure that people will use. I find it really helpful, but I know that people like to have a variety of options when it comes to preparing. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody behaves differently. I really like this tool.
Yeah, I like your sticky idea too for it's storyboarding, like basically thinking out loud as to what the story might look like. So if you took your stickies, created that story, and I'm looking at the stickies on the wall here, beautiful artwork, mind you, not really stickies. But you can organize the stickies, and when you're happy, you could translate it into this mind mapping document, because you're not going to take a bunch of stickies around with you.
Right.
But in the original brainstorming of creating a new story, it's a wonderful idea. Once you've got it mastered, you know what you want to say, translate it into a mind map.
I love it. Thanks so much for sharing that. I'm really excited to share it with the groups that I'm training going forward. And this can be used for talks, presentations. I get a lot of people who are speaking at conferences. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah.
Like conferences are like such great opportunities to practice your speaking, get out there sometimes for the first time.
But you know what? Let's just say you want to talk to your spouse or your partner about your holiday plans. But you know that you want to go somewhere and he doesn't.
Right.
So you can map out what it is you want to say on a little piece of paper like that. Yeah. It gives you confidence. You know what you want to say. You know the order in which you want to say it. And if you don't finish, fine. At least you've got the idea there. And you can hang on to it.
That's so great. I'm going to share that on my Facebook page as well. Thanks so much for listening. I hope that you're enjoying these tools. And don't forget to check out my website at jessicadumas.ca for the Speaking Up Speaker Training. Talk to you next week.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Miigwech, ekose, merci. Get in touch with me on Instagram or my website at jessicadumas.ca.